Hey guys, no video for our buying a house in Japan playlist. So recently this side of the house has been exposed because the trees next door have been removed. So suddenly this wall here is more visible to the street and also more exposed to the weather. So time to have a closer look at it. This electrical mess here, that's a PowerPoint. And this was done originally by an electrician maybe 20 years ago or something. Check it out. Isn't that amazing? Not unusual in Japan. We've showed you examples of this sort of thing before. So 10 years ago when we were really busy, first got the house, this wall got sprayed by the Unskilled painter, but sort of didn't do anything with the electricals, just left it like that, painted it over. It was sort of a dead side of the house because the little forest was there, so you couldn't sort of see that wall. Or you didn't see it very much. So the toilet in there, there's a urinal there. That's where the electrical goes, into the back of that automatic flushing system there. And this one here is a PowerPoint for a pump that used to pump air into the septic tank. So we've showed you the poo pumps before. We did a video on that once. And at some time this pump would have been connected to the septic tank, blowing bubbles into there, which is aerates it and makes it good or something. But for 10 years, that pump hasn't been connected. When we moved in, it wasn't there. It had been broken off. There's the connection there. And the pump was broken, and we never bothered with it. And we've had the septic tank emptied 10 times over the last 10 years. The guy that empties it has never commented on it. Recently, we had plumbing work done. No one commented on it, so obviously the poo pump's not important. So I decided to disconnect the cable that went to that PowerPoint because I don't need that anymore. And really don't want this wiring sitting out in the weather like that. Now those trees are gone. You can see the sun on this wall. This wall never got sun like that for the last 50 years probably because of the forest next door. But now the trees are gone. Much more sun, much more rain and wind and everything else, so the wall's much more exposed. And it looks dodgy. So, got the unskilled electrician to cut that wire off that went to the PowerPoint. And then there's this strange configuration at the top, which is actually another PowerPoint with a 1,000 amp little unit in there. No idea what it is. Obviously, an unskilled electrician is not going to know what that is, but it's a PowerPoint. Probably the guy had some plan to put a big spotlight up there or something, or he had a big spotlight up there at some stage. Who knows? But either way, it was a 1,000 watt 1,000 amp. Doesn't sound right, does it? Don't know what that was. But anyway, it's not there anymore. So here's the inside. This is the workings of the automatic flusher for the urinal. So that's where the cable goes. So, as with a lot of these jobs, it was supposed to just be a little job. Cut off the cabling that wasn't needed and just leave that flexi conduit in place. However, as we moved that flexi conduit around, it just started to fall apart. It was just cracking and breaking and falling. It was all dried out because it had been out there for 20 years or something. So it just broke up. So, all right, that's no good anymore. So I pulled the flexi conduit off, threw it away, and then that dodgy PowerPoint thing at the top, whatever that is, the PowerPoint of mystery, had to go too. So again, wasn't quite sure what to do with that. I'd sort of hoped to sort of bypass it, but it didn't look like that was going to happen. These jobs, just about every job, sometimes you get a job that goes easier than you think and it all sort of falls into place, but usually it's the other way. Once you start these jobs, they get bigger and bigger. So that's a little miniature crowbar, very handy tool that, with just a bit of wood there to stop from damaging the corrugated tin. And remove the PowerPoint of mystery and throw it away because the plastic housing, it was actually a bit burnt. It looked dodgy, like it had been arcing or something. Who knows? But happy to have that gone. Some of you might have seen on our emergency services playlist, we've showed you a couple of house fires. It's amazingly common how often we see house fires in Japan. You know, these old houses and the old wiring. It's scary. You know, it's made us a bit paranoid. We've put smoke detectors and fire extinguishers and fire blankets and all sorts of stuff in the house, and are really careful with stuff like this because we've seen too many house fires. Just don't want it to happen to our place. So where that was connected, that cable was connected, just fed that back inside the roof, which we can actually see from the rubbish room. That's the rubbish room there on the right. That's where we put all our rubbish. So waiting for recycling day and for rubbish day and all that sort of stuff. So that room's all just full of rubbish in there. But from that room, we can see where this cable goes in, up into the ceiling. So the connection now, instead of being out in the weather, is actually in the ceiling. That's a fairly serious piece of 20mm conduit with one length of cable now running from inside the ceiling down to where it goes into the wall. And it's all in conduit with the right 90-degree corners and stuff, so the weather can't get to that cable anymore. Some 20mm saddles to screw it to the wall so it doesn't move, which is really what they should have done, what the real electrician should have done 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, whenever he did it. This is what he should have done, isn't it? It's amazing. We've showed you lots of examples of this over the years, of dodgy electrical stuff. It wasn't really dangerous when he first did it, probably, but it's sort of so temporary. Everything they do seems so temporary. And it's not temporary, is it? It's been there for 20, 30, 40 years, so it wasn't temporary. So anyway, it's all better now. It's all safe. So that's the compressor hose just blowing out the dust. Got a bit of dust from the place next door at the moment. There's a video coming about what's going on there. So just blow all the dust away first. Make it sort of better surface to put paint on. Face mask on. I am your father, Luke. That's an in-joke for those who know about that. And then a can of... get the spray can attached. And away we go. So twofold, obviously the main mission here is just to protect it from the weather, but also it's become a lot more high profile at the moment because the place has been cleared next door, so you can actually see this wall really easily from the street now. It really stands out. So there's that, but also to protect it from the weather. Not that anyone would notice. If you asked any of the neighbours later after this job was finished what it actually done, probably none of them would even have noticed the cabling because it's so common here that they don't sort of notice that sort of stuff. So you can see the conduit there running up the wall is the job that was just done with the cable, electrical cable, and the pipe that runs down the wall from that corner is obviously the water pipe that goes to the flusher for the urinal. Urinal, there's a handy thing to have in your outside your house, isn't it? It actually really is. It really is. When the old man's out doing work in the garden and stuff, a very convenient thing, but also barbecues and things like that. Extremely convenience it is. Boom, boom. beautiful weather. Check it out. It was about every day. This took 2 or 3 days because it was a couple of hours now and again in between real work. And it was like 6 degrees, something like that, and generally clear skies. A bit windy that day, but you can be out there all day doing stuff like this and not feel particularly hot, you know. Sort of beautiful temperature, just right for this sort of stuff. And when the wind dies down, it's beautiful, really nice out there. So just touching up the white now. The unskilled painter tends to leave a fair bit of overspray, which we've actually found to be a good idea, where you get 2 different colours joining. It's better to go with overspray because then everything's getting a good coat, and then just come along and do the... Tend to overspray with the spray gun and then touch up with the paintbrush seems to be the way to go. And then everything's getting really well coated and the joins between the 2 different colours are really well painted, and yeah, it works. So it's coming along, isn't it? So before and after, guys. There's the before. The paintwork was looking a bit worn, wasn't it? That dodgy electrical stuff. Isn't that ridiculous? So anyway, ta-da! That's better, isn't it? That solved that. Yeah, happy with that. So time to move on to the next job now. We'll make a video shortly showing you what's going on next door. There's been some shenanigans going on in there. Anyway, that was it. The Unskilled Electrician at work. More videos coming soon.